Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
Thanks for staying with us on Enterprise Morning. Now on the main topic and other trending stories. Disturbing news from Zamfara has it that bandits have reportedly abducted more than 100 persons in an attack on Mutinji community in Maru local government area of Zamfara state. Now the bandits were said to have attacked the community on Friday night during Isha prayers. The attack reportedly comes after a bandit kingpin identified as Damina gave residents of the community a one-week ultimatum, now apparently to pay a levy of 50 million naira for their safety. The failure of the residents to meet this deadline and pay the requested form, or rather the sum, was said to have led to the abduction. No death was reportedly recorded during the incident. Now, to talk about this and more on Enterprise Morning, we actually still have with us right here in the studio Dr. Victor Ohai, who is a public affairs and social affairs commentator. Dr. Victor Ohai, still staying with us on Enterprise Morning. Thank you for staying with us.
Thank you for having me as always.
You recall during the headlines, I asked you a question. I said we've been having recurrent insecurity. We talked about a polytechnic where robbers came in, attacked the students, macheted them, shot at them. And we're not surprised to actually see this happening in Maru local government area. Now, for the third time running, the monster called insecurity appears to be mutating and gaining the upper hand. What's really wrong here? That's a long pause. He's short of words.
I'll tell you what. The government is losing it. What was the name of those helicopters that they bragged that they were going to bring in? I don't remember now, from the US. That they said they were going to use against bandits. Now, this war is being fought on several levels. We have the Boko Haram, it's okay, Sambisa and all that. But what's happening right now is many of these bandits, let me go into the controversy between Israel and Palestine. But what's happening here is that these bandits are a part of the community. It's difficult to be able to identify them, but the easiest way to do that is through intelligence.
You said they're part of the community?
They are.
A couple of people believe they are coming from Nigeria and other Sahel regions already, bedeviled with Maghreb.
Same difference. Go to Katsina State, you just walk across the border. The two countries are almost literally one. You just walk across the border at the border points. It's not like what happens in at semi-border here.
I think I've seen the border. It's just a stick and a chair that's separate. So you can just
when you
lift
have
your
a
leg.
situation like that, and you have a government in place, if it was of any importance to them, then they would do the needful. But it does not appear to be. And so that's why I worry. When bandits have the boldness to go and sack a whole community, even the government cannot raise 50 million naira tax on that community. But the bandits are bold enough to go there and say, pay us 50 million naira or we abduct you. Now they were fully aware. Okay, because when the notice came, the police must have been informed. How difficult would it have been to, embed people, the military or security forces in this community? Okay, granted, if you are from outside, it's easy to know. You might be able to tell. But what it simply tells you is that there are people who know, who are aware. There's no way you can come and overwhelm. If this was, I don't like making reference, but if this was Jonathan's government, you sack a whole 100 people, the whole world will hear. Because the propagandists will be at work.
Just like what happened with the
But right now we have been desensitized. Right now, abducting 100 people is like nothing. But I remember when Buhari's son had an accident, it was a major issue on his bike. So it's like the value of lives is, how do I put it? In this case, there are single lives that are equal to millions. So if a million die, it doesn't matter. And that is what bothers me. And that is what makes, permit me to just go a little outside this, but it's still relevant. It's a digression that is progression. Yeah? Why, in spite of the so-called insecurity, not so-called, the insecurity in America is worse than that of Nigeria.
Oh, really?
The level of it, yeah, I'll tell you why. The killings, gun and all that.
The knife attacks.
But what makes a difference is that when you call, you know that someone will respond immediately. Okay? And that for the life of one person, 100 people can be sacrificed to save one life. And when you have a government like that, why would you not want to die for a government like that? You will do anything. But in this country, it's like, how many people? Just 100. Life moves on. So it's like everyone for himself. The government is not looking after, the government has not got your back, in a manner of speaking. And so this is the reason why people either resort to self-help, or you see the jackpot syndrome, because it's a hopeless case. I don't care the number of how insecure a place may be, but if I know that when I call, someone will respond. And this is happening not only within the country, but also outside. If you've ever been to any of our embassies, they'll make you feel like a criminal or a common thief. When you go there, they lock you outside and they make you look like, shoo, shoo, shoo. A foreigner comes in the door, and that is your country in that country. You get what I'm trying to say? But you go there, you can't gain access. If they're pursuing you, and you want to go there for coverage, in fact, they will lock the gate and not mind them, kill them, do whatever you want to do with them. That's how it is. And I don't know when we'll be able to get that sense of government, if I may use that word. That's what's lacking. Now, the reason this can happen, and I can tell you that first, they will not even, maybe after we speak now, they will listen. They will not bother to take down the names of the people that are missing like they did during the Chibok girls. They will not start a countdown like they did during the Chibok girls to say, okay, 5 days, people are saying captivity. They won't do it. I promise you. Okay? There will be no free, the 100, what's the name of that village again?
Chibok.
No, this one.
Oh, Maru.
Maru. That's local government area, not the community.
Okay, Mutunji.
There will be no free the Mutunji 100 or more. You won't see that. The propagandists will not do this because right now it's like there's no opposition anymore. Everybody is like, you must massage the government. The government can do no wrong. And the country is still getting deeper and deeper into the abyss. It's unfortunate. I don't see any hope in sight. I don't. Let's use it as a case study. Let's see what they will do. Let's see whether they will be recovered. Or if anybody is going to do anything about this.
Okay. Any other question you need to ask?
So my question is, what do you think is the place of the media in all of this conundrum that it appears we are experiencing today in Nigeria? Because if the government is not doing anything, I think the media has the responsibility of maybe stepping into.
I think that's what we're doing now.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. But if we could,
I don't know. I don't agree. Let me say yes. That's what we appear to be doing.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this: most of the media, and I say so because not everybody, but the media, to a large extent, is now part of government. The same with civil society is also now part of government. Okay, so the truth is, there is no opposition anymore.
Are you sure?
There is no one speaking for the masses to a very large extent, I said. There are isolated cases, but the voices are too tiny. We are here talking, but who's listening?
People are listening.
I'm not arguing.
This conversation.
I'm not arguing. Those who are listening, what can they do?
Well, the thing is, we'll continue to set the agenda. I think that's basically what
I agree completely. That's the job of the media. We'll set the agenda. But in setting the agenda, it has to go a step further. In the sense that we set it so the public can, adopt it and push it. But Is that happening?
The public is not adopting.
We must keep it there so that it remains on the front burner. But I just give a challenge right now. Perhaps you can start a countdown. That's the way to do it. If you really want a sustained agenda, start the countdown. Find out the names and then begin to put pressure on government and say it's 5 days for the what's their name again? Mutunji 100. 5 days in captivity, 6 days in captivity. That way, the agenda is sustained. Otherwise, any other way, this will soon go like the way of others.
All right, another conversation that we can look at, which a couple of people may actually think on otherwise with the way it was phrased, is Nadeco. And they actually stated there is no need to wait for 2027 or 2031. Bola Tinubu is there illegally and has to be forced out the way we forced out Abacha. And when that phrase was coined by Lloyd Ukwu, Nadeco USA director, Nigerians wondered, what exactly does he mean? Well, I'm going to read out what he said. The executive director of the National Democratic Coalition, USA, Lloyd Ukwu, has revealed the organization's objective to legally oust Bola Ahmed Tinubu from power and prevent the continuation of his administration before the 2027 elections. The executive director disclosed this via X Space, which is a virtual space gathering, and he titled it Nadeco's Rescue Mission on Nigeria's Democracy with Well-Meaning Nigerians. Now, this conversation was had on Space, where you had a lot of persons listening to that
Twitter
conversation.
Space.
Formerly Twitter. Well, it's now called X.
Space.
Exactly. Now, Ukwu, while addressing the space, vehemently expressed concerns about the alleged undemocratic practices in Tinubu's government, asserting that the rise to power involves rigging and different forms of election malpractice. So, he said, and I quote, "The goal is flush out Bola Ahmed Tinubu legally and should not remain president of Nigeria since he got into power through fraud. The emergency of his government is not democratic," he added. Now, an American lawyer and international law expert, Bruce Fine, detailed the legal steps to safeguard Nigeria's democracy and challenge Tinubu's administration. Fine proposed initiating a Freedom of Information Act request to obtain unredacted documents from the FBI, alleging Tinubu's involvement in drug trafficking. Now, you would recall that the recent release by the FBI, President Bola Tinubu's name was redacted. However, other cronies were mentioned. Now, what Ukwu is actually saying is that they should unredact his name and let us explicitly see what is on that FBI document so Nigerians can proceed from there. Mr. Victor Ohai, do you think the statement by Lloyd Ukwu is treasonous?
Is what?
It's treasonous. Does it have that potency
Treasonable.
of being treasonable? Yes.
Treasonable.
First, I speak without emotions. I'll speak based on facts and issue. As at today, there is no illegal government in Nigeria.
Okay.
In governance, there's no vacuum. And with what has happened, the way he's entrenched himself and with the Supreme Court, remember that the executive cannot be, you cannot take them to court. You cannot, how do I put it? They cannot be prosecuted while in office. They enjoy immunity. They have managed to secure that immunity. So we're just blowing hot air. Secondly, the Nadeco that is talking now may be the remnants from the original Nadeco, but the original Nadeco was to push a Southwest agenda. Okay? It was to push the Southwest agenda. It was propelled and empowered by the Southwest media and propagandists. This Nadeco, I don't know if they have the same kind of traction.
So you're saying this could be
Secondly,
a faction?
say?
This could be a faction.
It's not a faction. The body has always been there. It's never been disbanded, but it has served its purpose at the time. And they kept quiet all this while. They never spoke. If they had been active, they had sustained their activities, then they would remain relevant. They didn't sustain it. So to get up now and think that when you mention Nadeco, people will still be thinking it is the same Nadeco. I don't see how that is going to be. I don't know how that is going to happen.
Now,
You
the
get what I'm saying?
publicity
So-
secretary, Nadeco, is saying that he is sitting on the wrong seat and he will be forced out of that seat.
I will answer you. You see, it's easy to say that. How do you force it? Me, I'm not emotional. I'm telling you, I'm looking at facts an issue. They'll be forced out of the seat. How? Can you do it democratically now? Even if the worst that can come out of this is that we just put obium or probium or whatever it is they say on the president and consequently on Nigerians. That in your villa, your president is XYZ. That's the worst that can happen. And then you wait maybe during the next election whether you can use it against him. But while he's there now, I don't know how. Politicians don't like very clean people because they can't use them. They would rather put someone there that they can pull election. And how? If you're too clean, squeaky clean, you can tell them go to hell. But if you have a dirty past, then they can say to you, look, especially now that they have something on him, allegedly, they can now say to you, if they can strike any bargain, it will now be like a puppet. They can now say, look, LGBT always show. They can now say, give us a military base always show. And it's an existential threat. And knowing politicians and their love for power, they'll do anything to perpetuate themselves. I don't know that they want to be patriotic. I don't know that they're ready to die for Nigeria or to put Nigeria first ahead of their personal interests. So if you call them a US or a global asset, in the matter of speaking, the US asset is Nigeria's liability, unfortunately. But neither here nor there, but I can tell you that this is just going on and nothing will come out of it.
But my question is this. Do you think Nadeco, just like you did say, is a regional advocacy which worked at the time?
You see, it was to push a regional agenda.
Yes.
It was a national thing, but with the national agenda.
Yes.
A regional agenda, which was, okay, Abiola had been robbed, the Southwest had been cheated, blah, blah, blah. So all of that, you understand? So once Obasanjo got in and Abacha died as a power, power was restored. So that was it, and that was the end of that. That was what Nadeco was set up for.
Yes, but my question is this: do you think there is the possibility of making it a national call, a national cause, without necessarily hurting
How
the
can
region
they do? No, how
where
can
the
they do?
president comes from?
Look at the names of the people there now. Whether Nwachukwu or whatever. It's just the people. The Nadeco that is talking now is from the southeast.
It's not true. It's not what you call.
Oh.
Lloyd Uku.
No, I don't know his name. So no, I saw whatever. So Lloyd Ugu, very good. So Lloyd Ugu, check all the other names there. You will just see that it is they are now coming from regional angle. To make this effective, if they had an Adekunle there and they had a Mustafa there, and all that, then they will project that face. In fact, Lloyd Ugu should not be the one talking.
Exactly.
It should be somebody from the southwest or from the core north. But the minute he does is easy to change it as a Southeast agenda or an OB agenda. So it's like I said, I speak without emotions. I speak with fascination. You understand? It is what it is. So this cannot fly. They need something that will carry everybody along. But the people who are talking cannot carry everybody along. That's unfortunately the problem. If you want to do it properly, then to make it truly a national thing, then it should not be seen to be. It can easily be dismissed as a regional thing here now.
But the question is this: how do we make it a national thing without necessarily not being
Let me ask
regional?
Let me ask you a question. Why do you want to make it a national thing?
We want to make it a national thing because every Nigerian is feeling the brunt of what seems to be policies that aren't working for Nigerians.
Well, I want to advise us.
Yes.
I think our job here is to bring the issue before the public and for the public to form an opinion. You understand? It's not our job to decide what it should be or what it should not be. There's a government in place. Individually, we may not like it, but there's no vacuum in governance. Okay? Nadeco has an agenda. They should decide how they want to push their agenda. It's not my business or your business. That's how I want to put it.
All right, Dr.
Certainly
Ohai.
not on this stage. Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Ohai, for being part of the conversation on Enterprise Morning.
Thank you for having me.
I do appreciate your input.
Thank you.
All right, so that does it for this morning program on Enterprise Morning on Enterprise TV. And still I have with me
Esther Nwachukwu.
My name is Henry Igubike. Same time tomorrow, still Enterprise TV.
Enterprise TV, your one-stop shop for news, programs, human angle stories, the economy, sports, and much more. We go the extra mile to bring incredible details to you. So hop on the train now. Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.